I had never thought to label the ethical code that I abide by and expect my professional peers to follow as a personal disposition. However, that is truly what it is. A disposition is defined in the dictionary as a person's inherent qualities of mind and integrity. Other than perhaps someone working directly in the medical field, I don't know an occupation other than education where your ethical and personal dispositions need to be as morally sound than ours. While taking the self-survey for this class, I did find myself using strongly agree to characterize my feelings on many of the dispositions listed. I would like to take that as a positive. While they are all important to reflect upon, there are a few that are more important than the rest in my opinion, and the reason for any of the success I've had as an educator. Educators should believe all students can learn and should set and support realistic expectations for student success. Now, this doesn't necessarily all have to look the same for every student. Fare isn't always equal, but you should have appropriate goals for each of your students. I have been a student's biggest advocate. I will do anything in my power to teach to a student as the individual and understand their personal strengths and weaknesses. Not only do I use assessment data to evaluate my students, I also get to know them as the whole person. I focus not only on academics, but also emotional and social strengths and weaknesses as well. I give students choices and make them part of our classroom environment. An example is the class rules. Each year, I let students make their own rules for both me to follow and their peers. Obviously, I don't let outlandish things make it on the list, like Mrs. Dunning has to stand on her head and spin around if I say so, but for the most part, the students do a nice job with this and are respectful, and I can follow along and make sure that I write down what they really see as needs as rules. This has really helped tremendously with class culture and coming to respect one another. The other disposition I feel that is most important to my success as a teacher is that I try very seriously to always uphold that educators should model integrity by their words and actions. We are in the trenches, teaching these students day in and day out. Oftentimes, we see a child for more hours a day than their families do. It is our job to model and demonstrate what integrity looks like. How important doing the right thing when someone is watching and when someone isn't watching truly is. You can be the poorest kid, the richest kid, the smartest kid, most athletic, or even the kid that's counting down the days till graduation, and none of it really matters unless you have integrity. Anyone from any background, orientation, or culture can have integrity, and they should have integrity. I expect integrity from all of my students, no matter what their situation is. I feel it is my job to model it and even have discussions about time in my youth, appropriate stories, of course, with my students, where I was tempted or maybe even succumbed, and how I regret that now later on. It is my job to expect the best from my students morally, and if I'm not encompassing and modeling that behavior, then they will never respect nor listen to me. That's why I feel so strongly about that disposition. As an educator, there's always room for growth. The disposition that I feel that I need to work on the most is the importance I place on promoting and supporting curiosity and active inquiry in my classroom. I know that this is something that I should be placing more value on, and I know that students are more successful when they are interested in the topics and lead their own inquiries. But the reality is that there just never seems to be enough time. Is that a bit of a cop-out? Sure. If I was so truly passionate about this, would I be making the time? Of course I would. But if I'm being honest, I often feel the pressure of the state standards and district pacing guides that are breathing down my neck, especially ahead of testing season. And so often I will just lead my students directly to the final destination and their learning goal that I'm looking for. So in order for me to grow as an educator and put more emphasis on my disposition of this topic, I need to create time in class to allow students to really learn this way, and I need to stick to it. Finally, what does a professional educator look and behave like? Well, I would have to say that it's me. I did wear my teacher cardigan today, and I happen to have to wear glasses, which I feel like really extends itself to what we think a teacher looks like. But joking aside, a teacher should be put together. I'm not even saying overly professional dress, because let's not forget all the spirit days and pajama days that we participate in. I once dressed as a rainbow unicorn, but honestly, I feel that shows I'm a professional because I'm a grown adult willing to dress as a rainbow unicorn for my students because I'm all in for them. I'm so all in for them that I'll in fact wear that unicorn costume all day. Teachers should hold themselves to a high moral and professional standard. In terms of behavior, professionalism is always key. Kids never forget when we mess up, and while the more I teach, the better I think it is for them to actually see us fail or make a mistake once in a while, admit it, and keep going, show our perseverance, that cannot be the norm. If we want students to trust and respect us, we must speak with love and respect. We must be well prepared and show that we have thoughtful lessons and that we actually know what we're talking about. We must demand a high degree of achievement from our students, whatever that looks like for students. I've had students in 4th grade that came in reading at a 1st grade reading level. Obviously, those students' goals are not the same as a student that comes in to 4th grade reading at a 6th grade reading level. However, I still demand a high level of effort and achievement from all of my students, no matter their abilities. And we must not let our emotions get the best of us. We all have personal struggles, but those need, for the most part, to be left at the door. The most important thing that I learned how to do as an educator was to meet a student who is angry, sad, anxious, frustrated, or even violent with calm. We need to be the constant in our students' lives at school, and we need to continue to be our students' role models. These dispositions really show that. You need to make sure that not only are you showing integrity and holding your standards to the same the same equity-based standards and expectations as their peers, you also need to make sure that you are portraying yourself with a high moral standard, that you are presenting yourself as someone who has integrity, who's someone that can keep their calm, that is reliable, that has resiliency, that has perseverance. We have to uphold the best character traits for our students and model them. The dispositions discussed on the self-survey are a great way to reflect upon yourself as an educator and grow in your practice. All of the dispositions discussed are what make a good educator great if they can value them all with a high priority.